Hello, welcome back to Kosi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kosi, and here we are discussing a couple of issues this early morning about Arsenal. So many things to talk about. Gabriel Martinelli's injury update, as well as his transfer update to Manchester City. Did you know that Manchester City is willing to pay 80 million for Gabriel Martinelli? I'll be discussing something new from Chris Whitley about Buendia's transfer being very imminent to Arsenal. We shall be discussing something about Bissouma. I talk about Steven Zonzi because he's been linked with Arsenal again. 32 years of age. He's been linked with Arsenal for, I think this should be the 10th time that we've been linked with Steven Zonzi and a couple of other stories. So be sure to subscribe, smash the like button, and give me your comments about anything we shall be talking about in this video. But make sure you have smashed the like button. Let's get them to at least 500 likes on this video. So I'll start with Julian Brandt. It has been confirmed that Dortmund will not be selling Julian Brandt to Arsenal. For one reason, they now have an injury crisis. Alex Witsel, one of their best attacking midfielders, one of their regular starters actually, one of the players why Julian Brandt has not been getting game time, is injured, and that could take him months out of the squad. And that's the reason as to why they will not be selling Julian Brandt, though Arsenal has been very keen on getting the signature of the German playmaker. So it looks like they're going to be using either Thoganaza Rias, and then Julian Brandt as their attacking midfielders, and then Jadon Sancho, Erling Haaland, and then Mahmouda would be the players playing up front, on that forward line. So I think it is over. We are not getting Julian Brandt. And of course, Dortmund, I told you, it's very hard for Dortmund to sell their players in January now, by the fact that they even have an injury crisis. They have Alex Witsel injured. It's going to be very hard. And Fabrizio Romano was talking about yesterday, and he said that Brandt would be a very good sign for us. He would be that player that who is a little bit more gifted, more open. But Dortmund are not going to sell him because they have an injury crisis at the club right now. So that is that is done and dusted. We are not going to sign the man himself, Julian Brandt, anymore. Arsenal maybe in the summer, but in the January transfer window, that is not going to actually happen. But still talking about playmakers incoming at Arsenal, let's discuss some of the updates around Buendia from Chris Whitley, one of those journalists that are very credible, very reliable. You can names like Chris Whitley, Charles Watts, Fabrizio Romano, Kosi's Arsenal podcast. Of course, I trust AFTV. I trust The Athletic. There's journalists like Cooper and others. I really do trust such journalists, and when they come out to speak about us, the transfers and all the situation, it really makes much sense. So Chris Whitley says Arsenal's transfer, or Buendia's transfer to Arsenal, could be very imminent. It could be coming within a very short span of time, and the reason is we did contact the player and we did agree some of the terms with the player. We are just waiting for an official bid from Arsenal, which is in the pipeline according to Fabrizio Romano. So probably that's going to be 25 million or 30 million, and that could come this week or latest next week, because I don't think in the last 7 days you approach Norwich to take their best playmaker. They're not going to let him go without a fight. So it should be next week, so that we have at least 14 days to fight against Norwich's resistance. But he's a very nice player. Everybody would want to see Buendia play at Arsenal. Everybody would want to see Arsenal sign Emiliano Buendia. Apart from that, I have a very fascinating story. It is about Gabriel Martinelli, who is reportedly now on the transfer radar of Manchester City. I don't know what I should say about this. Okay, let me start with this with his injury happening, because he crushed his ankle. You know that, and Mikel Arteta was in his press conference, which we did a couple of days back. You can check that on the channel, and he said, "Look, he's not injury prone. He's just unlucky. He's just unlucky. He's just an unlucky fellow that's getting his, this kind of, injuries time in and time again. But he's very talented, and all of us know that he's one of the best players, if not the best young talent at Arsenal. So his injury is not going to be, it's not going to cost him a lot of game time like most of us had expected. Next week, he's expected to come back to full training if nothing changes. So that is the guy, Gabriel Martinelli. But the more fascinating story is that Manchester City is willing to pay £80 million for this guy for a transfer for Gabriel Martinelli to the Etihad Stadium. And that reminds me that before we signed Gabriel Martinelli, he was on the transfer radar of Barcelona and Real Madrid. You still remember Arsenal very, very, very lucky to get Gabriel Martinelli because he's a bowler. He's he's a player. He's one of those players that you can look at him if you're a card reader, or if you are a fortune teller, or a future seer. You could see that this guy has a very, very bright future, ahead of him. The finishing, the runs, the confidence, the way he takes on players, everything he does on the pitch, you can see that he's a very, very, very big investment that Arsenal did make 2 years ago. Now, Manchester City want to play with our boy, and they're saying they are going to offer us 80 million. Now, look, money is so tempting. But of course, you never know how Arsenal is going to use that money. If Arsenal get 80 million and they spend it well, because 80 million, for me, I think, with you sell Gabriel Martinelli 80 million and you spend it well, you can rectify all the flaws in that Arsenal squad. You can get a decent midfielder for 35 million. You can get a decent right back for 20 million or 25 million. And then you can get also a forward at around 20 million or 25 million. So you can rectify, the flaws at Arsenal. But of course, you can never trust Arsenal with money. Can you? Never. You can't do that. So that is the story, though. Gabriel Martinelli linked with Manchester City. He would be in safe hands if he went into the hands of Pep Guardiola, because we've seen Pep Guardiola is one of those managers that can actually transform players, small players, into very, very, very big topics. The evidence of that is Raheem Sterling, but I don't want to talk about it. He is not for sale. That is what I know, unless Arsenal think otherwise. A couple of other stories to discuss this morning is Steven Zonzi, Roma midfielder who's been linked with Arsenal, and of course he has been linked with Arsenal for eternity. For the past 10 transfer windows, January and summer combined, he's been linked with Arsenal when he was at Sevilla, when he was in at Stoke. He's been linked with Arsenal all the time. And what I remember is Unai Emery wanted him, and we decided to go for Lucas Torreira. Now he's 32. Arsenal is looking to strengthen our midfield, and we want to go for a 32-year-old. It wouldn't make any sense. But those reports are also there. I don't want to dwell so much on them because they do not really make much sense. For me, there's a discussion about a new goalkeeper, and Socrates going to Real Betis this morning. It looks like Socrates is really unsettled and he's not serious about his future. He wanted to leave in this January transfer window, which he still can't do. There's a lot of time left. We have almost 15 or 16 days to the end of the January transfer window, so he can leave. But he's been linked to a couple of clubs: Genoa, Real Betis, Fenerbahce, back in Germany with Frankfurt and a couple of other clubs. But I think he should decide, because Arsenal have already decided that they're going to let him go without a fight. They're going to let him go even if the club is losing him on a free, even if we are not going to get any penny out of his transfer, we are willing to let him go. So he needs to find a club as soon as possible. And this is the problem with being such a nuisance and a bad player. You're gonna look for the next destination, and you're not going to find one, and that's what's happening with Socrates. I'm not saying it's good for him, because I think he has some days left on his career. He's 33, 32. So I think he has 3 more years left on his career. Probably if you can discuss a deal to China or to Italy, somewhere there, get some little money and move on, get some game time before he retires. He was a bit unlucky not to go to Napoli. If Manchester City had signed Kalidou Koulibaly last summer, maybe he would have made it to Napoli, but that was a little bit unfortunate, wasn't it? And so he's tied to Arsenal. He has not played any professional match for Arsenal this season. Not in the Europa League, not in the FA, not in the Carling Cup, not in the Premier League. And it doesn't look like he's going to be involved in that squad anytime soon. So, Real Betis is interested. Let us wait and see whether they will actually take him. And finally, the discussion about the new goalkeeper. Of course, Fabrizio Romano yesterday coming out and saying there is nothing advanced as yet. I'll be discussing the Fabrizio Romano update. In a few hours. What did he talk about? Basically about Arsenal. That will take us around 10 minutes or 15 minutes to digest basically the outgoings and the incomings of Arsenal according to Fabrizio Romano. What should we expect? He was talking about Buendia and Julian Brandt and Isco. I'll be discussing that. But he also talked about a new goalkeeper and said that Arsenal have nothing developed as well. But the problem that they have seen it that they left a quality goalkeeper leave, for which I think was, not even good money, 13 million, 14, 15 million for Emmy, which was not very, very good money. He leaves, and now we bring in a 1 million goalkeeper, Alexander Runarsson, who is absolutely shit. Now, Arsenal is looking at getting in another goalkeeper, and who are we looking at? Is the man himself, David Raya. But Fabrizio Romano says there is nothing advanced. So our woes and our interest in getting a goalkeeper is nowhere to being close. My name is Kosi, and that is the Arsenal transfer update for this early morning. Emiliano Buendia deal very, very, very imminent. We are waiting for it, as well as Arsenal being faced with the problem of Manchester City lining up 80 million bid for Gabriel Martinelli, who I think is still the best player in the Arsenal side. Make no mistake, subscribe and make sure you smash the like button as you leave the video. Smash the like button as you leave the video. Smash the like button as you leave in the video. I'll speak to you very, very soon.